Today's little exercise is to try and get a brake pedal back on the 4Runner. So when we did the build originally, I did the rear locker, pulled the axles out, clamped the line, and then went to do a gravity bleed. Once I'd fitted the center and the axles and noticed that one of the nipples had broken. But the brakes were still okay. I was still able to bleed the other side and they were still okay. But I noticed on the last run that the pedal was slowly been getting worse. You know, one time I'm braking like there's air in it, so pumping it, it pulls up. The next it goes to the floor, depending on whether it's just been started or not. So I'm going to take the fact that I've got one broken bleed nipple on one of the wheel cylinders that I need to replace a pair. So I've ordered a pair of wheel cylinders, but until I open it up, I don't know if I need anything else. There's no other clues it's given me to why it's doing it. Fluid levels not fluctuating, you know, hugely. So we'll open this up and we'll have a look. Need to get a brake pedal. This drum here looks like we might have some weepage. So all these old drums generally had these two threaded holes where you could put a bolt in and you'd be pushing the drum up against the hub. So it would help you to remove the drum itself. With the handbrake obviously disengaged and the adjuster backed off. We didn't get around to doing this when we fitted the locker because obviously we were just rushing to get the locker in and out to be driven back when we were doing the build. Passenger side's not looking too healthy. There's a lot of oil. Now whether it's brake fluid, which I doubt because I haven't had to top up the reservoir, so it must be an axle seal leaking gear oil. I have to clean it up and have a better look, but no wonder it wasn't stopping. So the driver's side is the side that I can't bleed with the broken bleeder on the wheel cylinder. Okay, so it's dry, but we're going to definitely be changing that wheel cylinder. What we'll do, we'll clean both sides up. So the back of that passenger tyre also showed weepage, but we'll give it a big clean up and have a look. Alright, so our first job to get the wheel cylinders out is to clamp the brake line, the one that feeds the fluid, so that we don't lose it all once we've undone everything. So this side, everything seemed to be okay and dry. It's just that the bleed nipple was broken. So the wheel cylinder will get replaced on this side. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to take the axle out because I can't seem to crack one of the old wheel cylinder nuts. There's not enough room to get a spanner around it. And I don't have a short 12. So in my case, I've undone the brake line, the axle nuts out, and I'm just going to slip this out and quickly change the wheel cylinder over with it out. So that's the one I was struggling to get a spanner on. And I can see why. It just wouldn't let me get in there. And my socket was too long that it was going to hit the spring on the ratchet. I don't have a real short one. I should be able to just crack this now, put the new wheel cylinder in, and throw the axle back in and fit the lining. It's funny because the actual reason that we're in here and we've found that the other side's leaking oil is because of that broken bleeder. Always found it fiddly to remove wheel cylinders for some reason. There's just that sweet spot that you get. Anyway, this one's out and we'll get the new one in. Alright, so the new one's in. We're just going to bolt it up from behind and throw the axle back in and bolt it up. Just remember, always leave that grommet in until right before you fit the brake line up to it. Alright, it's all back together. The other side's wheel cylinders I ordered during the week. We got that one on that axle. Now I'm a bit worried because seeing the fluid that I'm going to have to change this axle seal. Not something I ordered, but not something I want to wait for. So let's see if Old Faithful here, Spare Parts, can help us out. So this is an LM106 and that's an LN65. But I'm guessing pretty much of a muchness. Well, where do you start in here? Alright, I'm going to go through this packet of seals and see if I can't find anything. We had all this stuff out last weekend when we were fixing the tie rod on Bullet Truck, so everything's sort of bagged. I'm going to need two hands to have a look. Alright, these look like fronts. They're front seals. Some of them are even second hand. Oh look, we've got an arrangement of seals here. Something might work. Let's have a look. These are all genuine Toyota ones too. This looks like a front. Yeah, that's not right. Don't forget, I would have had these for bullet trucks, so what's this one here? Oh, bingo. All right, we got a seal. We don't have to wait for one. We don't have to go and buy one. All the boys make fun of me that I'm a hoarder for parts, but I tell you what, I get out of jail a lot. All right, we need a block of timber. Oil on the rubber. Okay, we can put the axle back in now. All right, now that side's all back together. New seal, new wheel cylinders, kept everything else as it was. I'll clean these up with a bit of emery paper. It just goes to show you can do this on the side of the road. I mean, I've done this on the Gibb River Road. So if you're out in the bush and you'd had to do this and you were on your own, well, clearly you're not going to have a brake pedal. So I'll show you a little trick to at least get you to a half decent pedal, not having a proper bleeder on board and not having a second person manning the brake pedal. Need the drums back on for this, some brake fluid, and make sure the reservoir's topped up. Okay, we better put a bit in that because now those two wheel cylinders are empty, so we need to fill them up. All right, we'll fill that up. Just to give ourselves a little bit of leeway with what fluid comes out from underneath where I'll be. I won't be able to be watching it. So that's important, not to let this run out of fluid completely, because then you've got to start from scratch, all four wheels then. Particularly in ABS, if you let it run out, and then you've got all sorts of problems. All right, it should go to the floor, and it will. So normally you would hold this in, somebody would open up that bleed nipple. Okay, so we've got this quite hard, and we go to the furthest bleed nipple. What we're going to do, we're going to just crack this bleed nipple. And just leave it open. It's taken a few minutes, but what we've got is we've got dribbling fluid and air coming out. So this is the furthest away wheel cylinder. This is a gravity bleed. So we had a whole heap of air coming out, and now we've got fluid coming through that wheel cylinder. So that wheel cylinder's probably got enough fluid in it now to be able to brake. So that's that furthest away one. There's still air coming out of it, but there's fluid. So we're halfway there on our gravity bleed. And we'll go to the other one, the next furthest away. And it's taken a couple of minutes, but we've got fluid and air coming out of that wheel cylinder. Let's have a look at the pedal. So that's a pretty good pedal. Like, that will get you out of trouble. Thanks for watching.